Hi, I'm Hope Perri. I am a senior associate with Alvarez & Marsal, and I am part of the Houston Working Professional MBA program. I was meeting with my managing director, and we were having a performance review, and we were talking about what my career would look like at Alvarez & Marsal and what steps I could take. And some of those were like soft skills. We were talking about managing. We were talking about different types of engagements. And I put it out and I was like, what if I went back to school? Because when you look at those like top levels, when you look at senior directors, when you look at managing directors, the majority, 9 out of 10, they do have their MBA. And so I was like, what if I went back to school? And he was like, yeah, go for it. And I also think that graduating in COVID, I lost out on like a year and a half of that in-person experience, and I wanted that back. I felt like maybe a little less confident in my position and in my job than I thought. Going back to school, I'd be able to kind of reclaim that in-person experience, get those relationships with my professors, and just really kind of solidify my learning, because I think we've kind of all got to the point where we know that learning on Zoom is not the same quality. UT was like my only choice. It was going to be like UT or nothing. I moved here like when I was 16, and I had never heard of like any colleges or universities. So when I went to go to my undergrad, I didn't really have like a broad span of like, where you'd apply. So I kind of applied like where my guidance counselor told me to. And then my freshman year, I actually came across like UT, and it's so different from anything like I've ever seen like growing up, like the football games, the like school pride, and it's incredibly like prestigious academic. And I was like, okay, maybe not for my undergrad, but I have to find a way to get to UT. So I ended up moving to Houston right after I graduated in 21 after COVID. And I just like knew that the only reason to go to Texas is to go to UT. Every bi-weekend, our MBA class meets at the Chiswick Nursing Center. We have dedicated classrooms and spaces, and we basically take like the full MBA curriculum on a Friday and a Saturday. So from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and then 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on a Saturday. And that's bi-weekly. And so we get through the full MBA curriculum on site in Houston, in-person teaching, along with our classmates. So we basically get Austin brought to us every other weekend. Coming to an MBA, I was like, oh, well, it's still business school. Like I had that full expectation that it was gonna be kind of cutthroat. Like we were all gonna want the same job, but it wasn't like that. Like it is the complete like night and day. So when we first came in, we had an accounting boot camp, and Professor Lindecki said to us, these are gonna be the fastest 2 years of your life, and the person sat next to you is probably gonna be your best friend. And I laughed and I was like, okay, like that's great. Like I'm not really here to make friends. Okay, I have the world's greatest best friend from this program who I cannot imagine my life without. She's phenomenal. But it's not just like one person. Like our entire class is incredibly close. Like I think we've had 9 babies this year. We've had people getting married. We've had people getting engaged, and even just birthdays. Like nobody misses the opportunity to say like happy birthday. And we have like one whole group chat together, and we just love like lifting each other and celebrating each other up. We're so invested in each other, which is something completely different to my undergraduate experience. Even if you get nothing else from this MBA, like you came out with 62 people that are gonna have your back, like personally and professionally. And I think that's worth whatever the sticker price of an MBA is now. We have some really great faculty that I look at sometimes and I'm like, I understand that you're my professor, but you're definitely coming across as a friend. Like they genuinely care for you. I had an accounting professor, Professor Arouge, and he sits on like the SPAC council for FASB. I do a lot of work on the FASB guidelines, and so I thought that was really cool. But just in terms of, I've been able to go to him and been like, hey, like, what's your opinion on this? Because like, this is how we're kind of dealing with it at work. Like these are some of the questions that we're getting pushed back from audit teams. And I'm just like, am I thinking about this the right way? Am I looking at it the right perspective? How would you think about it? And that's led to some like very, very fruitful and engaging discussions that I've been able to take back to work and say, like, hey, like this is the latest thought from professors that are writing on this right now, that are being listened to by government institutions right now, that are being listened to by NGOs, they have the voice of the legislator in their ear, and this is their opinion, and I'm able to apply that like very efficiently at work. There's like a joke, and I'll just like say it as like MBAs don't know what they're doing. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but I would say it's definitely not true of McCombs MBA. The core curriculum is incredibly interdisciplinary. There's not one class that I would say gives you one perspective on anything. It's very broad. You're gonna get pros and cons on everything. You can apply it in any way, which way you think. And what I really appreciate about McCombs, and this is very different from my undergrad experiences, you're not being taught a way to think. You're not being taught a path. You're being taught a framework that you can apply any which way you want. And it's kind of like that regular economist theory where, you know, A plus B equals X, but there's this third factor, and that's your own personal responsibility and your own personal values. And I would say that's something that McCombs is really, really good at. They're very good at quantifying the A and the B, but letting you develop what that X is for yourself. Find the way that works for you, and we'll help you the whole entire, we'll hold your hand, but we are not going to just feed you one policy or one procedure. And so I think that's what makes McCombs very unique. You can talk to different people from different business schools and you can pick them out of a lineup. You can be like, these 5 candidates all went to X business school because they all have the same answers. And I would venture to guess that you could interview 5 McCombs graduates and you wouldn't know that they were all McCombs because they've been taught to think with themselves first. This is very close to my heart, actually. I'm on the Graduate Business Council and I'm the Vice President of Community. And the way that we think about community in Houston is threefold. We think about the community of our class. We think about the community of our families and our extended families, and that kind of cohort 3 is what we call it. And then we think about the Houston community in general, and we're a part of all those 3. We've really tried to focus on kind of fostering that connection between not only is it this about your class, but this is about your class and their loved ones and the people that are also making a sacrifice for this program, and they are valued, and none of this would be possible without their support. And also, we're all part of the Houston community. When Houston does well, we're gonna do well together, and it's only gonna do well if we have a passion and a drive to give back to that community, and also to stay in that community, to take the lessons and the knowledge that we're learning and the kind of experiences and the lived experiences that we're having in Houston, and then putting that forward to make Houston a better place. I can't imagine not doing this program now. That seems like such a ridiculous idea. And I think back to turning up on the first day of my Austin intensives on day 1 and thinking, this is such a mistake. I should just get in the car and go home. I don't belong here. I don't know what I'm doing here. This is just not for me. And then within 4 days, I was friends with my entire class, and I was like, oh, this is the perfect fit for me. UT is truly a family. You don't have to be on site in Austin to experience that. It is almost a way of being afterwards. You come out of this program, and I think you would come out of any program at UT changed. And so if you want to challenge yourself to be a better person and a better thinker, then UT is exactly where you should be. And the burnt orange and the hook'ems, that's a bonus. Hook'em horns. Here you are what's next.